What if I told you there's a playable version of a third installment of the Hot Pursuit series coming out soon? Well, kinda at least. Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit released in March 1998 for PC and PlayStation 1 and was the first of many installments that would define what Need for Speed was all about and shape its future forever. Its heavy emphasis on police pursuits and iconic tracks made it one of the most popular racing games back in the late 90s. 4 years later, EA would release Hot Pursuit 2 for PC and 6th generation consoles, which would have a separate, quite different version on the PlayStation 2 developed by EA Black Box instead of EA Seattle, who developed every prior Need for Speed game including the other versions of Hot Pursuit 2. The PS2 version in particular would cement Black Box as the next primary developing studio for Need for Speed, as their version of Hot Pursuit 2 would triumph over EA Seattle's in both critical and commercial success. Then, after 8 long years and another console generation later, we would see a reboot of the sub-series simply called Hot Pursuit, made by Criterion Games. This reboot, despite being a return to form with focus on exotic cars on grandiose, closed tracks, with the ability to play as both cop and racer, also ended up being quite a departure for the Hot Pursuit series, as it would feature a completely different handling model, power-ups, and an unusual, albeit good soundtrack. It was generally well received, especially after the mistakes released before it, but generally it had little to do with the original Hot Pursuit titles, save for a few features. 11 years later, and Hot Pursuit 2010 is still the last Hot Pursuit title we've had since then. The franchise as a whole has traded developers, ideas and styles, and as a result is one of the most fluctuant racing game franchises out there in terms of overall quality. As such, many fans like to look back to a more consistent time, where games such as Hot Pursuit 1 and 2 were just plain fun racing games with no strings attached. If we will ever see an official Hot Pursuit 3 remains to be seen, but chances are it might never be a thing. And well, now it doesn't have to. Enter Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Challenges. Hot Pursuit Challenges is a mod for Need for Speed Most Wanted, which transforms the entire game into resembling the style and gameplay of the classic Hot Pursuit titles. I've had the chance to check out an early demo of the mod, so I would like to thank the head of the team, Elaine4, for granting me access so I can check it out myself. I'm going to be honest here, this is probably the most impressive mod I've seen yet for a Need for Speed game. And I must know, because I created the Papega mod. I wasn't exaggerating when I said it transforms the entire game into something new. At times I forgot I was actually playing Most Wanted and not some lost Hot Pursuit game that never got released. So what makes it so good? Well, let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. The entire map has been completely transformed from the gritty and dirty Rockport into a tropical paradise resembling many of the tracks found in Hot Pursuit 2. Clean roads, blue skies, lots of thick vegetation. It could almost pass as a TDU fan game, honestly. The structure of the map remains the same, so you will still recognize many of the roads and structures, but since everything looks so different, it's easy to get lost in the new look. This is further emphasized by a finely tuned color palette to further resemble the original Hot Pursuit 2. No more piss filter, but instead a more pleasant and natural look. But the similarities don't just end there. The car list has also been overhauled to represent the exotic feel of the original. Puntos and Cobalts have been traded in for Ferraris and other supercars. Worth noting here is that the era in which Most Wanted, the base of this mod, has been released. As such, you won't find any cars older than from 2005. The models themselves, however, are as detailed as they can get for a mid-2000s game. And the sound? Well, have a listen yourself. Speaking about sound, the soundtrack of the original Most Wanted has also been swapped out for a collection of music more fitting to the first two Hot Pursuits. Not only will you find many classic bangers you'll definitely recognize, but also new songs that were specifically composed for this mod to be in line with the theme of Hot Pursuit. Many of these new tracks actually remind me a lot of the first few Need for Speed games. Obviously this video wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about the cops. In the demo I only had access to one heat level, the second one, which swaps the old undercover cruisers for some fast looking Mustangs. One thing I certainly remember about Hot Pursuit 2 in particular was how difficult the cops were, especially in comparison to Most Wanted. And this seems to have been taken into consideration as well. You now need to deal with more aggressive cops, which also seem to spawn in higher numbers, as well as a lower backup timer. A chopper can also be sent in on this heat level already, which all in all makes pursuits more challenging. But since you are starting off with faster cars from the get-go, it seems like a fair way to balance things out. Now, all of these things alone would be impressive enough, but the mod makers went above and beyond to make this mod as authentic as possible, to make it feel as close as possible to the originals. Most prominently, this is seen by the tracks themselves you'll race on. A trademark of Hot Pursuit 2 was how there were many alternate paths you could take on a closed track. This has been considered, and as such you will find completely new track layouts which split and alter on many occasions, as you can see on this completely redone minimap. If you think that detail was impressive, pay attention to this new chase camera that tries to emulate the way Hot Pursuit 2's camera behaved. This one is a lot less shaky and sticks closer to the rear of the car than the original cameras from Most Wanted, which are also still available by the way, along with the usual hood and bumper cam. Speaking of cameras, some events have completely new introduction cutscenes which show your car from new angles. Same is true for the main menu, showing off this Diablo GTR in various new angles. Oh yeah, the look of the main menu, as well as the title and loading screens, are completely redone as well. Really, I'm hard pressed to find anything that hasn't been changed in a way to make this feel as close as possible to what could have been a proper Hot Pursuit sequel. This mod feels like a perfect blend between the core gameplay of Most Wanted and the Hot Pursuit formula, which is probably the biggest compliment I could give. Keep in mind, however, that I've only been given a small glimpse of the entire thing. This trial had access to 3 preset races, so I've yet to see the full car list and the career as a whole. The career in particular is something I'm curious about. Will we see different Blacklist members? Has the progression changed in any way? What will the prologue and the end of the game look like? We will just have to be patient and wait until the full mod releases finally on the 14th. If we're talking about criticism, there isn't really much I can say except for a few concerns I wanted to share. Namely the usage of text mod, which you will need to launch the game through. Text mod makes it possible to introduce much higher quality textures into the game, however from my experience in detriment to overall game stability. If you had trouble running Most Wanted before, you likely won't be able to play Hot Pursuit challenges as intended. Sadly, text mod is also notorious for introducing various graphical glitches over time, like these weird stripes I've had all over my screen when it started to rain. It is also worth noting that with text mod the game takes a lot longer to launch, sometimes up to 5 minutes depending on your hard drive, as it needs to load all of the new, higher resolution textures in. Despite the many downsides, it does make the game pretty nonetheless. It just makes me wonder if everyone would be on board with these trade-offs. All in all though, I'm thoroughly impressed by this year-long mod work and will definitely play the full version on stream when it releases on the 14th. If you want to watch me play it, make sure to follow me on Twitch. Otherwise, mark your calendars and bookmark the website to the mod, which I will link in the description below. Oh yeah, even the website looks like it could be an official production. As I said, they went above and beyond with this thing. They even have an official cover artwork, which could genuinely be the box art of the next Need for Speed game. If you want to stay up to date with the project, you can also find a link to their Discord server down below. But for now, that should cover everything thus far. For more information, I encourage you to visit their website, as they have already revealed the full car list, for example. I'm genuinely excited to play this for myself, especially since we didn't get a new Need for Speed this year in 2021, and this seems like it could really fill that hole for the time being. But for now, I shall say thank you for watching, and until the next video. See you guys.